In the early hours of a summer morning in East London, a young man was found lying lifeless outside an apartment building. There were no signs of violence, no broken bones, no visible struggle. To the police, it appeared to be another tragic overdose, an unfortunate but familiar scene in a large city like London. The man's name was Anthony Wall. He was only 23 years old. What no one realized at that moment was that this was not an accident, and it was not the end. It was only the beginning of one of the most chilling serial murder cases in modern British history. Before we continue, this channel is dedicated to telling real UK crime stories with facts, responsibility, and respect for the victims. We explore true cases, criminal psychology, and investigations, not to glorify violence, but to understand it and raise awareness. Every story you hear is based on real events, carefully researched, and presented for educational purposes only. This video is not made for entertainment. It is made to expose a dangerous real-life crime that happened in the United Kingdom nearly a decade ago. This story highlights how trust can be manipulated, how early warnings can be ignored, and how those failures can cost innocent lives. The purpose of this video is awareness, to ensure these victims are remembered, and to help prevent such tragedies from happening again. London is a city where millions of people live side by side, often as strangers. In such a vast city, trust is something people give quickly, especially in the digital age. Dating apps had become a normal part of life, allowing people to meet within minutes. For most, these platforms offered connection. For one man, they offered opportunity. His name was Stephen Port. Stephen Port lived a quiet, almost invisible life in Barking, East London. To neighbors, he was unremarkable, polite, ordinary. No criminal record that would immediately raise alarm. But behind closed doors, Port was living a double life, one driven by obsession, control, and a desire that would eventually cost 4 men their lives. Port used gay dating apps, particularly Grindr, to meet young men. He presented himself as friendly and trustworthy. Many of the men he contacted were vulnerable, some struggling with personal issues, some looking for companionship. Port knew how to manipulate that vulnerability. He invited them to his flat, offering drinks, drugs, and a sense of safety. What they didn't know was that Port was planning something far darker. Anthony Walgate was the first known victim. After meeting Port through a dating app, Anthony went to his apartment. Later that night, Anthony was dead. Port claimed that Anthony had taken drugs voluntarily and overdosed during consensual activity. Shockingly, the police accepted this explanation. The death was not treated as suspicious. No deep investigation followed. No one questioned why a healthy young man had suddenly died in such circumstances. This failure would prove catastrophic. Over the next year, 3 more men would die under eerily similar conditions. Gabriel Kobari, Daniel Whitworth, and Jack Taylor. All were contacted through dating apps. All were drugged with the same substance. All were found dead near the same area, close to a local cemetery. And all had been in contact with Stephen Port shortly before their deaths. Yet again, authorities initially believed these deaths were accidental overdoses. Despite the striking similarities, no immediate link was made. Stephen Port remained free, continuing to live his life, blending into society while his victims' families were left searching for answers. What made this case particularly disturbing was Port's level of calculation. He didn't panic. He didn't disappear. Instead, he tried to control the narrative. He wrote fake suicide notes, placing the blame on the victims themselves. He even contacted some of the families, pretending to be a concerned friend. This was not the behavior of a man acting out of fear. It was the behavior of someone who believed he was untouchable. Behind the scenes, families of the victims began to notice disturbing patterns. They compared details, the locations, the dates, the causes of death. What the police had missed became impossible to ignore. These men did not die by chance. They were targeted. Pressure from the families forced authorities to reopen the cases. Toxicology reports revealed lethal doses of drugs that could not have been self-administered so easily. Digital evidence showed repeated contact between the victims and Stephen Port. CCTV footage placed him near key locations. Slowly, the truth began to surface. In 2015, Stephen Port was arrested. During questioning, his calm demeanor never broke. But the evidence against him was overwhelming. Messages from dating apps, search histories, witness statements, and forensic results. Each piece painted a clearer picture of a predator who had used trust as a weapon. The trial exposed not only Porte's crimes but also serious failures within the system. How warnings were ignored, how assumptions were made, and how lives might have been saved if the first death had been treated differently. In 2016, Stephen Port was found guilty of 4 counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment, with no possibility of release. For the families, justice came too late. Their sons, brothers, and friends were gone, but their determination ensured that the truth was finally known. This case changed how authorities viewed deaths linked to dating apps and drug use. It became a warning, not just about one killer, but about the dangers of assumption, complacency, and misplaced trust. Stephen Port did not look like a monster. He didn't fit the stereotype. That is what made him so dangerous. Evil does not always announce itself. Sometimes it hides behind a smile, a message, an invitation that seems harmless. True crime stories like this are not told to spread fear, but to spread awareness. Understanding the past is one of the few ways to protect the future. In a world where connections are made instantly, caution matters more than ever. And sometimes, the most terrifying crimes are the ones that go unnoticed, until it's too late.